Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabint Leadership. Welcome to the program. We are going to be talking about, yet again, the systems in America are not working. And you're seeing that on very different levels. Obviously, the government being a primary level, but even the citizens, the influencers, you name it. And sooner or later, what you're going to find out is our system is going to collapse. Because generally speaking, however much this system deteriorates, the key question is, are you still going to pay your taxes? And are you still going to have faith that voting is going to solve the problem? Which most people, that's how they are. So as long as you pay your taxes and as long as you believe voting is going to solve this problem and nothing else, there's no really reason to change. It's the same thing what we're going to start. I don't want to talk too long, but it's like a corporation. Why should they pay you more money? Are you going to quit? That's a big deal. Are you going to strike as an in group? That's a big deal. But as long as you, at the end of the day, still go back to your job, why should the firm pay you more money? It's very similar to it. Let's share some stuff here on what's going on, current events. This is just really basic. This is again, I just want to shout out. This is where I say, hey, can you please help a military veteran repost? And she's like, this is Iris Serafina. Of course, reposted. You would think that this would be the normal response. So again, Iris, thank you so much. But and what I'm trying to do is, if anyone noticed, what do I keep saying about the Chinese? The Chinese people and the Chinese government are not that much different. America likes to say the Chinese government's evil, which then again, why is Trump doing business with them? Trump, I guarantee Trump cannot wait to meet President Xi. Why? A lot of money. But the Chinese government's evil and the Chinese people are good. Nah, I'm not buying that. They're about the same. So what am I saying about America? The evil globalist government, but not the good old American people. I'm not going to buy that either. I mean, the amount of responses that I got from Americans has been absolutely horrible. So that's why I wanted to highlight it. This is from Iris. Iris, thank you so much. I never thought it would be this difficult to get American citizens who say they support military veterans to repost. So thanks. She's like, of course. Iris, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, of course, but it's not that case. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next tab here. Dan Bilzerian, pretty interesting guy that's going on. I wish him luck for election. But he's like, this is George Laptomere. I don't know him, but he's a congressman from New York. Obviously not in my district, but he was one of them I wrote. And his biggest concern is anti-Semitism in America. Okay, well, Dan shuts him down. My issue, George, is why don't you spend more time worrying about American military veterans like myself, who's asked you for help and you've ignored me, than worrying about anti-Semitism? Because if it's not for the military veterans, Georgie boy, then maybe we wouldn't have a country. But George is more worried about fighting anti-Semitism instead of supporting the military veterans, even though I'm sure he always says, thank you for your service. So go fuck yourself, George. Country's going to shit. So here we go. Let's go to the next one on this. These are just some news. This is Kelly. This is where I'm different than Kelly. Hopefully everyone can see this. Kelly is a MAGA. She's a MAGA superstar. We got 100. She's got about 130,000 followers. Kelly is a MAGA superstar. She's a patriot. And Kelly thinks this is the way because Jeremy Nichols is now a U.S. citizen. Okay. Well, Jeremy Nichols looked like he's African. Okay. So is this good? Let's have a debate. Seriously, is this good? So we have an African American. What did I say stands for patriotism, faith, family, freedom, Christianity, European freedom of speech, stuff like that. So he's an African American. Is that great? Okay. Then would 2 African Americans be even better, and 3 and 4? Okay, where do we go? So if the population is 99% Africans, is that super? I mean, I'm not coming up with an answer. I mean, obviously, I think it should remain majority white, meaning 90%. But to any of you, that's why I'm focusing on MAGAs. I don't really focus my time on liberals, even though there's times I actually agree with the liberals. But mostly I focus on MAGA because MAGA really are today's rhinos. We sort of, thanks to Donald Trump, we sort of got rid of the rhinos. But now today's MAGA, they're the rhinos, meaning we have more farther right to go. So, I mean, this is just a good conversation with MAGA because MAGA likes legal immigration. So, MAGA, do you think non-whites immigrating to America is good? Well, as long as they're smart, they pay their taxes, they're educated, they follow the law, okay. So if America is 99% non-white, is that okay? It's just an interesting conversation. It's just a debate. Let's have, maybe I'm wrong, but so I saw an African, I mean, we're lacking white people in America. So if I see an African person becoming an American, I'm different with non-whites coming to America on visas or even permanent residencies, but that U.S. citizenship's a big deal. But it's an interesting question. We won't go into it today, but like I said, is it great if an African, Indian, Chinese come and they become a citizen? It's awesome, as long as they pay their taxes, they're smart, this and that, and they follow the law. Okay, well, if that's great, wouldn't twice as many of them be even better, and 3 times and 4 times? I'm just curious. Does it just get better and better and better the more non-white America becomes? This is the MAGA. What's our stance? Nobody wants to talk about this. A lot of dumb MAGA people, they're like, they don't know. It's an interesting conversation. But anyway, I mean, I don't know this guy. Jeremy, he seems like a nice guy, but Jeremy, what country are you from? Can I go to your country and become a citizen, become a president? I think the answer is no. All right, let's go to the next news here. This is, this is where a lot of white people, they're always about protecting women. Look at these out protecting women. Nah, I'm not into protecting white women. You want to know why? White women who we've given the right to vote are probably the biggest threat to the West. Literally, not the non-white invaders. The biggest threat to the West is, I mean, I'm not going to say biggest, it's one of the biggest, and white men were to blame. But allowing white women the right to vote has done more damage to the West than these. I mean, look at Germany, Merkel, wie schaffen das? They love to come in. I mean, by us. So if you really want to protect white women, take away their right to vote. No, I mean, think about it. If the country was ruled by, what do white men love? We love beautiful women, so we'll help women become beautiful. We like children, so we'll help white women become mothers. And traditional societies are going to be always, we're always going to spoil women. There's no such thing as women homelessness in a traditional society. Perhaps men, even though I don't like it, but perhaps. But women will be protected. But we lose our power. No, you're the most dangerous people with power. White men, we can handle power. Look at the history of mankind. White men in power. History, meaning we have a blueprint. We have a backstory to see. We have a legacy to see how well we do. White women, not much evidence, not much of a record. And those that do get power, meaning the last, whatever, 50, 100 years, you were destroying it. So I'm not into this protect white women from these savages. White women have destroyed the West through voting. If you want to protect white women, take away their right to vote. Same thing with a daughter. You have a daughter, you want to protect her, take away her freedoms, right? Sweetheart, you have sex with who you want to drink alcohol, you want to do drugs, well, that daughter's gone. She's going to OnlyFans. If you really want to, the best protection for women is who? The father and the husband. You're never going to be more protected than that. The government's never going to protect you as good, no one. And what did feminism do? Well, they destroyed marriage, no more husbands, and they destroyed the family, no more fathers. And now women are like, I need the government to protect me. Wrong answer. The best thing women can do if they want to be protected is a father or a husband. And the best way to get that formula is women should not be allowed to vote. But if women, you want to vote, then fine. It's your danger. Don't come to us crying. No one cries for men that are dying in the streets. All right, let's go to the next one. These are just news. What's this one? Yeah, this is interesting, MAGA. I think this is the one we've said, but I can tell you something. This war in Iran, I'm saying I fully support a ground invasion, but best of all, military draft. Let's go on this. You've probably seen the clip.
And you know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell. To President Trump, you saved the world. God bless you. And you know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell. To President Trump, you saved the world. God bless you.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Elect Donald Trump in 2024. God bless you, sir.
There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump
is a con artist.
Don't play games with this president's in office because it's not going to turn out well.
It's typical Trump. All bluster, very little substance. President Trump made history.
Is Donald Trump the biggest moron? Who the hell are you? Some schmuck with a skyscraper? Who cares? Well, you'll see what I'm going to do. Well, you'll see what I'm going to do. And he loves Israel, too. And I said, this is our first Jewish president.
Okay, let me just comment on that before we go. I make a note, and I'm not changing my opinion. I'm not trying to be cool. Full ground invasion followed by the military draft, best thing, because full ground invasion, we're going to lose. Here's the one thing I do hope, in all seriousness, even though I am serious, I hope we do a ground invade. It's time for this United States military to get fucking smashed. Why? Because we don't have loyalty. Military veterans don't have loyalty to one another. And oh, by the way, the military is not loyal to you American citizens. They don't care. They're working for the government. They're working for the corporations. There's no loyalty. And I'm telling you, they're going to get smashed. And you know what I think about the Iranians? Similar like the Iraqis, Afghanistans, they're defending their home country. Our country's falling apart. But I do hope we do a ground invasion. They're going to get smashed. And I like that ego, that let the ego get smashed. And then all these MAGA people are like, dude, this is an important war. Get drafted. Here's something, though, I do worry on. We may do a nuke. And when I say we, I'm talking America and or Israel. Because the war is not going to be won. I know there's a lot of the record repeats, right? In America, like that's the one thing too. It's weird. I remember I did a leadership course on why leadership repeats. For instance, the COVID jab. I have no doubt about it. There's going to be another virus. The government's going to say we have a new improved vaccine, and people are going to say, I got to take it. And you'd be like, do. Oh, we have a quick video about the COVID vaccine doing cancer. And people are just going to forget. So again, Iraq, Afghanistan, total failures. Remember that the war. In fact, Trump is using the same rhetoric. We are fighting for the freedoms of the Iranian people. These are quotes. I've read it. George Bush, we're fighting for the freedoms of Iraqi people. You as an American patriot, did you really wake up? And I said this too way before the war, when it was during the war with Iraq. I said, you know something? I really don't care that much about people in Iraq, their freedom. A little, not much. I don't want to be callous, but I need to be true. Saddam Hussein, whatever. The same rhetoric now. You as an American citizen care so much about the Iranian people. What about an American military veteran? So you're telling me you care more about the Iranian people than American citizens, American military veterans? I don't really care too much. Okay, I don't know. They're hanging people. They're killing people that are protesting. They're not allowing women to go to school. You know, whatever the rumors, true or false, generally speaking, don't really care that much about it. Perhaps I could if I try to evolve, but let's be real. I think most Americans are struggling day to day, don't really care. But Donald Trump, just like George Bush, we care about. And I'm telling you, I hope we do. But the problem is Donald Trump is not going to do the draft because he knows it's suicide, even though I hope the military draft comes. All these MAGA people that are like, we love military veterans. This war is so important. Let's kill these Iranians. Draft these motherfuckers. Draft them. I think it'd be the best thing. But I am worried, though, that Trump is going to realize he's not going to win this. And I would not be surprised through the rhetoric that we nuke Iran and or Israel, America. We nuke Iran. And I'll do a video on that. I'm not an expert on nuclear warfare, but I will talk about the repercussions past. But if we nuke them, then we'll win the battle, but there's an extended war that's going to go global. And I would not want to be an American citizen traveling around the world. But anyway, that's what I'm telling you. We are not going to win this thing. I hope Donald Trump does a ground invasion. He's going to lose, and he's either going to do a draft, which would be great, but then basically destroy MAGA or whatever. MAGA, a lot of MAGA is fake. Or we may go nuclear, which we dropped bombs before on Japan. You really don't think we're going to do it? Because it's all about peace. But, man, who knows where this is going. But I can tell you, MAGA has turned into a cult. Okay, let's go to the next one here. 1 second. Let me bring this here. Okay. For this one, this is interesting. This is about Nick Fuentes, and I could tell you something. This is exactly what I reported to Chuck Grassley. What's happening to him is in similarities happened to me, and that is this goes into I won't play the video, but this goes into Nick's getting his bank account. When I first heard, I think that's it. When I first heard about this guy Nick Fuentes getting censored, his bank accounts, I wasn't quite sure, and I was thinking maybe he did something criminal, like people thinking I'm no, not at all. The censorship that I've had, and I warn that once you're in the crosshairs of the FBI, there is so much the FBI can do. The only reason that I stand in a better spot is I'm located overseas, especially when you're in China or Hong Kong. But people don't realize that the best way to look at it is simple. You get stopped by a cop for a traffic violation, and the cop likes you, whatever. You're his brother-in-law. You don't think he could say, nah, don't worry about it. No ticket for you. Have a good day. Reverse, though, if you pop an attitude with the cop, that's not illegal, popping an attitude. He has a problem with you. Not only does he write you a ticket for speeding, but he looks for other stuff and create. This is personalities in these places. If they don't like you, especially if they consider you a major problem, we're talking national security. I never said illegal or legal, just a problem. They could put down pain on you. Anyway, I feel sorry for the kid, Nick Fuentes, but this kind of shows you we step out. Let's this is interesting here. We're just going to go through here. This is a good point. This guy, hopefully everyone can see this. 1 second. Let me bring this down. This is the guy named Vince Longman. Okay, he knows about me. He's obviously not supporting me. That's fine. Thanks, Vince. But he's like, hey, are you still a fan of Tucker Carlson? And like, I don't know, Vince, are you a fan of military veterans? Notice how people are turning on Tucker Carlson. We'll do a video on it, but man, Tucker Carlson's getting thrown under the bus. I'm actually liking Tucker Carlson more and more. That's just for me. I wasn't a big fan of him before because, Fox News, whatever, he's a little better. But he's, I guess you could say like wine, he's aging better. And like I said, I think it's one, he's got enough money on him that he has lawyer protection and he doesn't have to work for anyone. That's probably the biggest reason. But don't fool yourself. Reason number 2 is he's getting older. And when men get older, they don't care anymore. Or maybe they're also thinking about the prosperity of their offspring, their children, but they're just like, screw it, I'm doing the right thing. So that's my theory on Tucker Carlson, but meaning I'm liking him more and more. I haven't paid so much attention to him, so there could be things that he said that I disagree, but seems to be on it. All right, let's do one final thing here. This guy, I need to do a video on these American special operation guys, Rangers, Navy SEALs, overrated, totally overrated. Look at this shitbag. Hopefully, can everyone see that? Yeah. So everyone knows my story with Derek Van Oden. I did an interview with someone who knew Derek, and then I wrote Derek. He's a congressman, Navy SEAL congressman, and his secretary, whatever, responded to me, and I want to speak to him. He knows about me. He's ignored me. So he says, right on. Well, what did he say right on to? Alan Dershowitz, this is the thing, is no longer part of the Democrat Party. He's part of the Republican Party. And why is that? Because Alan Dershowitz says that the Democrats are anti-Semitism. All right, whatever, I get that. When I was at Harvard, I had some talks with Alan Dershowitz. Whatever, that's his opinion. But here you got the Navy SEAL congressman who's failing in his duty. The guy's corrupt. He knows about me. He has a duty to respond to me, and he's a big, tough Navy SEAL. Everything totally ignored me. And so he looks at Alan Dershowitz. He's like, right on, man. He's going to the Republican Party because we're not anti-Semitic. Before we get to the news, let me go back on this. So here's my point. So you got this Navy SEAL here. Do your duty, Derek. It's embarrassing. It's gotten to the point like this with special operations. So Derek thinks it's awesome. He's like, yeah, man, we're the Republicans, and we don't tolerate anti-Semitism. Okay, I guess so. I don't know. Growing up in New York with a bunch of Jews, I get it where there's true hatred, But a lot of the, and let's face it, just like America or Israel, you start bombing other countries, there's going to be hatred, people. It's going to come to you, America. There's going to be some Americans that are going to be beheaded overseas. And people are like, how can they do this? An innocent American. You are not fucking innocent. What have I said about the Chinese citizens? They are not that much different from the Chinese government. I don't distinguish a regular Chinese citizen and the Chinese government that much. They are like 90% the same. Guess what? You're an American citizen. But I'm a Democrat. I didn't support Trump, or I'm MAGA, man, but I thought it doesn't matter. You're an American citizen. Your government starts bombing other countries. Your head might be on a platter. Anyway, back to the shitbag Derek, because we got to move through this stuff. It's getting to the point that if someone's in the U.S. military and he goes to like a Delta Force commander. He's like, a U.S. Army private. He's like, sir, I want to become Delta Force one day. He's like, whoa, pretty tough. Best of the best. You think you got what it takes to be Delta Force? I think I do, sir. I'm willing to give my life. I'm willing to kill with my bare hands. I'll do anything. Delta Force is the best of the best. And he's like, we are killers. Nobody's better than Delta Force. We're the tip of the spear. We are hell on wheels. We'll kill anyone, any day, anytime. We're the best of the best. And then all of a sudden the kid is like, sir, that sounds awesome. I mean, you guys sound like really high speed, like sort of like the neo-Nazis SS group, like the A. We in Delta Force do not tolerate racism. No white supremacists are allowed in Delta Force. Do you hear me? We fight racism. And the private's like, yeah, forget it. I don't know. I changed my mind. I'm not interested in Delta Force. You guys sound like some woke cocks. It's just too much. So here we have this Derek guy who's a Navy SEAL congressman who has a duty to investigate government corruption. And of course, I'm former military. He would do that. Nah, doesn't give a shit. But man, Alan Dershowitz, he's come to our party because we fight anti-Semitism. Okay, I guess so. I don't know. It just sounds so cuckish. It makes me understand why white women, and I've always said, I defend white men. White women have some of the stinkiest pussies around with their feminism. But I understand why white women don't find white men attractive. They're just pussies. They're just a lot of cucks. Like, especially the typical white man. He's like, I don't want to be called a racist. I just don't want to be called a racist. Please, I'll do whatever I got to do not to be a racist. And you wonder why you're an incel? You wonder? I mean, really? It's really pathetic. So anyway, let's go, since we're on the topic of Indians and the FBI, let's talk with this guy. Oh, no, actually, yeah, let's do this. Let's go. This guy's a shitbag.
Come at me. Bring it on.
Tonight, a battle over reputation.
Now we got, like I said, you ever get this stuff when we get, so this is the FBI director. He should go back to India as far as I'm concerned. Can't believe J. Edgar Hoover would have never approved this. If you're a patriot and you're a traditional, you should always ask, what would our forefathers think? Like, you should always ask, what would George Washington think? Now, if you're a liberal and you're anti-white, and that's a different story. I'll buy that for $1. I'm probably not going to agree with you. But if you're MAGA and you're like, I'm traditional, I'm a traditional person, I'm conservative, I'm a patriot. Okay, then always ask yourself, what would George Washington do? In the FBI, we could say, what would J. Edgar Hoover do? J. Edgar Hoover would have never allowed, there were only white men in the FBI. So that gets onto it. But now we got Cash, and now he's suing for his defamation. And I don't know, aren't we at war? Don't we have, counterterrorism stuff to do? But Cash is like, no, I need to defend my reputation. Well, from a former FBI agent that I've already said allegations of FBI corruption, you and Dan Bongino know about me and you've ignored me. So I could say right now, you've got a shit reputation. You have failed to do your duty. You're corrupt. So I can add into on that. But let's hear what Cash thinks about this. Again, coming from China, I just still am amazed there's an Indian man as our director. I know you're a white guy in America, born and raised, and you probably heard what I just said, and you're like, dude, that makes no sense. That's so racist. But once, because I'm telling you, I'm the future. America's going to become more and more non-white. I know what it feels like. You don't. But I can tell you something. To see an Indian man as our FBI director, it's just the weirdest thing. I mean, I guess next we're going to have a Chinese American as president. Have fun with that. I mean, Just do it. Let's get this thing over with.
And reporting.
You want to attack my character? Come at me. Bring it on. I'll see you in court.
Today, FBI Director Kash Patel filed a defamation suit seeking a staggering $250 million against the Atlantic Monthly Group after its April 17th story, citing anonymous sources, reported that bouts of excessive drinking and erratic behavior.
Well, like I said, I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm a former FBI agent. Kash Patel knows about me. Dan Bongino knows that 100%. Dan Bongino blocked me once he got out of the government. They know about me. When you're an American citizen, let alone a military vet, and you say you have FBI corruption to report, there is nothing in the leadership books or the legal books that say, let's just ignore them. That is failure to do your duty. That's bottom line corruption. They're not civilians. So when we're talking about his reputation, I would say it's dog shit. He should have never been an FBI director. And sooner or later, when America collapses, he's probably going to be very happy to go home to India. Otherwise, his life could be very dangerous in America. Again, J. Edgar Hoover would have never authorized him to become the director.
Behavior have put his job on the line. NBC News has not independently verified that reporting. The story claims on multiple occasions the director's security detail had difficulty waking Patel and states that a request was made late last year for breaching equipment to gain entry. Patel's lawsuit calls that claim pure fantasy and states that breaching equipment is provided to all FBI protection details. Patel had faced criticism for this moment when he partied with U.S. men's hockey, winning Olympic gold. He responded that he was extremely humbled to celebrate with the boys. The director's lawsuit alleges the Atlantic story contains false and obviously fabricated allegations and ignored the FBI.
Don't you think it's embarrassing, though? I think our country's, I'm embarrassed. Like, for me to be on social media, I feel like a fucking ass clown. This is the FBI that goes behind my back to destroy my life, but doesn't have the courage and honor to face me. Very simple question, FBI. Did you communicate with the Singaporean government about me? I know you did. So you're able to go to all these people. I mean, I have so many sources that are coming to me say, the FBI is knocking on my door. So they'll go. It's like very like girls. I'm telling you, Hollywood has got it wrong. Hollywood, when they portray the FBI or the CIA, if it was back in, like I said, the 1950s or 60s, it'd be different. But I'm telling you, the best and the brightest are not in our government. These guys are like incels. It's very feminine behavior to go behind your back like girls. And then, I mean, you learned this in high school. If you had a dad with a big dick, he would teach you this. He'd be like, dude, are you going behind my back and talking shit to me? You say to my fucking face right here and let's fight. But a feminist pussy, you know what he would do? He wouldn't do that. He would act like a girl. That's the FBI. I know people are like, no way. The FBI, those are the baddest of the bad, the toughest of the tough. I'm telling you, the best and the brightest are not in our government. And you got Kash Patel. I mean, does this guy look like an alpha male, Kash Patel? This guy dreams of being with a white woman. That's his thing. He's like, I just want to be with a white woman. But when he can't get the white woman, he'll stick with his Mossad intelligence agent. Since we're on the subject of Indians, since you brought it up, let's talk about Indians.
Like them.
They're not here to live. I saw someone bring out an Indian flag. I love poop, and I needed to smell.
This is talking about, and this is to MAGA. Again, I don't say this to liberals because at least liberals are honest about it. They love non-whites. They love this. But MAGA, when it comes to legal immigration, they don't know what to say. They're just like, okay, so let's do legal immigration. Let's see how this will go. Let's go. So again, MAGA gets really tough on illegal immigration. But when it comes to legal immigration, you watch MAGA, they are as retarded as the liberals. They'll be like, as long as they pay their taxes. Okay, that's good. Let's see how this goes. Here come the Indians. You want an Indian FBI director? Well, we'll get more Indians. Have fun.
Oh, more like poop so I can feel at home.
The blatant racism that was displayed quite literally 20 minutes ago.
Very saddening.
Because they feel uncomfortable seeing people that do not look like them.
They're not here to listen. They're here to just make their statement and leave.
People are forming strong opinions based on social media clips.
It's really sad to see what's going on. The fact that I came to this meeting and I saw someone bring out an Indian flag, talk in an Indian accent.
Hello, sir. I am Sanjay Gutba.
Now, to all the white MAGA cucks out there, because there'll be some people like, we're MAGA, but we don't stand for that racism. Have you ever lived in India before? Yes or no? If the answer is no, what do you know about Indian culture? Perhaps you're living in America in an Indian community. I doubt it, because white people want to live with white people. But I'm telling you, if we revert, and I know enough about India, enough that I can relate, but if this was same thing about Chinese, I would say it's absolute bullshit. I mean, it's the same thing. But I'm telling you, the amount of racism in India, the amount of racism in China is through the roof. You have no idea to you white Americans. And when it comes for you, I'm going to laugh my ass off, because I'm sure there's a lot of MAGA people looking at this and saying, that's wrong, man. If those Indians pay their taxes and follow the law and love the American flag, they're just like me and you. Good luck with that. I mean, just have fun with that, and I'm going to laugh.
I am transracial Indian.
Sir.
I just want to say thank you for everything you're doing for the Indian community. We need 10,000 more H-1Bs. To stand in solidarity with the Indian community, I've stopped using the city garbage service, and I've started throwing my trash outside and pooping everywhere. I love poop. The city smells too clean, and it is offensive to me and my culture, and I need it to smell more like poop so I can feel at home. I also asked that we remove all deodorant and soap from the stores in Frisco. Is it offensive? I need shout out Vivek Ramaswamy and shout out Kash Patel. We need to legalize public death.
Exactly. Vivek Ramaswamy. Isn't he a MAGA poster boy? Oh, yeah. You think we could reverse it? Do you think you as a white man can go to India, become an Indian citizen, become an Indian politician, become an Indian president? Never. Never. There's no path. So once you see how they treat foreigners, your mind will totally change. I'm telling you, as a white man, I implore you to go live 12 months in a non-white, non-Western country. It'll change your mind. I don't have a problem with Indians. I think India is a great country. China's a great country. But don't put this bullshit, you're going to see it, where they come to America and they say, you white people are racist. America, shut your fucking sand nigger Indian mouth. I know it sounds impolite, but I'm getting angry. When you get angry, these racial terms come out. It's an absolute lie. And you're indoctrinating American white men with communism. The truth is, white men are the least racist people on this earth. America is the least racist country on this earth. Sure, we might have a little competition with other white countries, but compared to non-Western countries, to include Israel, no way. Least racist countries on earth. So I don't like that, because I'm telling you, you as a white man go to these countries and start calling them racist, your country's bad, you're going to get sent to jail and you're going to get deported. It's 1 and 2. But they come here and they're allowed to do this. Why? All this is for the same reason I keep saying, weak white men. It all comes down to that, because white men are still terrified of being called a racist. It's pathetic.
Thank you. Like, thank you.
Racist piece of shit.
India. Yeah, fuck you, dude. I love
Very saddening. And that's aside from what I was going to say, but I just wanted to make that clear with everyone that I don't think anyone should be applauding that sort of behavior. And it is quite saddening seeing that in my community. And it truly does make me very emotional. But I feel like a divide has.
Notice when this person even says who he is, he says he's an Indian American. Why not just say you're American? Because he knows it, and we know it, that he's Indian first. Chinese American. Notice that the people who don't put a hyphenated word are white people. Do we really say we're European Americans? We will, but watch this. If there's a part of my leadership lessons, remember it now. When white people become a minority in America, you're going to start using that word. We're European Americans. We're white Americans. Even now, you're starting to hear more about white Americans. Why? You didn't hear it before, because when everyone, it's like saying you're Chinese. If you go to China, everyone's Chinese. You don't need to say Chinese, but they have what's called ethnic minorities, Shaoshuminzu, like Tibetan, Mongolian. You could hear that. I'm Mongolian Chinese. You hear. So when the whites become a minority in America, you're all of a sudden, at the very first, you're going to start seeing white people say, I'm a European American. I am a white American. You're going to hear these terms. Why? Because race is real, race is important. So he introduced himself as an Indian American. Why? Because his Indian race is important to him and also to us. We look at him like Indian. What's the point? Multiracial societies, they don't work. They never have. And if you think they do, show me the example.
Has been created, and the root cause of that is misinformation. I feel like there are players that are outside of our community that want to bring this rhetoric in here. And I mean, I'm looking at the audience, the people that primarily made the false claims against Indians. They're not even in this room anymore. They're not here to listen. They're here to just make their statement and leave. Anyone that really wants to learn and be educated and understand the.
Okay, so I have 4 master's degrees. I speak 3 different languages, and I live in China now for almost 15 years. I'm more fluent in the Chinese language than a lot of the overseas Chinese, Malay Chinese, Singapore. What education am I lacking? So again, he's talking about the Indian perspective. I get that. But you know the same thing could be said about the Chinese. What education am I lacking? Because I can tell you, the more education I get, the more I realize that the white man spoils women, racial minorities, and immigrants. That's what I learned. So you let me know. I've been in the military, I've been in intelligence, I've been in the private sector, studied abroad, again, lived all throughout China, never been to Tibet, but everywhere else. What education am I lacking? Because I would be considered a highly educated person compared to the normal American. And that's my conclusion when I say we are the least racist people on earth. That's my thesis that I've come up with. So he says we're lacking education. You heard that bullshit before. We're just lacking education. Not me, because I can tell you something. Before I left to China and after I'm living in China, my views on race, also about feminism, has drastically changed. Drastically. So that's what education has done to me. What education do you think he's referring to? Probably communism. That's what he's referring to. You need to be educated more with communism.
Perspective of someone that's within that community, you can come to me, talk to me afterwards, and I'll give you that, because I feel like this sort of information is only spread when you're in your own echo chamber. When you're in your echo chamber of thoughts, and with social media, with
the reason it's an echo chamber is everything is censored these days. We can't have talks on this. What about the Jews, about blacks? We cannot. Because if you have, so that's why there's echo chambers, and why can't we talk about it? Because we don't want to be censored. You don't want to be fired. You don't want to be arrested for hate speech. It's probably why we don't have freedom of speech anymore in America. Because we don't have freedom of speech anymore, we can't talk about these subjects. We want to. I think white men want to be able to talk about these subjects, but we can't. Why? Because we have laws, regulations, policy, rules to protect who? Women, racial minorities, and immigrants.
All these things around us, we just get stuck within our own thoughts and our own beliefs, and they become extreme. The only way we change that is through communication and through coming together as a community.
So today I'm here essentially to address misinformation about the Indian community that has been stated at previous meetings, the blatant racism that.
Why can't you just say the American community? Why do you have to say the Indian community? Because race is real. That's why. Because she'd look at you and say, because we're fucking Indians. What are you, stupid? And the MAGA people would be like, okay. That's why she specifies the Indian community. Because they're Indians first, Americans second.
Was displayed quite literally 20 minutes ago. And all of this has spread to the news. Times of India is writing about Councilman Tucker and how that so-called activist Paul has blatantly made racist claims towards him. But many of these people that have spoken at previous town halls, they've used the word alleged fraud, alleged activity, alleged concerns. I will not be using that word tonight. I'm not here to speculate. I'm here to present facts. I'm here to cite real data, and I am here to address directly the misinformation surrounding H-1B visas and harmful stereotypes about the Indian community in Frisco. Tonight, I'm here to talk about two things: the truth about H-1B visas and the reality of the Indian community in our city. I spoke directly with the Frisco Chief of Police, David Shilson. Something that I want to make clear to everybody here tonight: the Frisco Council is not responsible for H-1B visa fraud. That directly goes to a federal bureau. Complaining here, the only reason why people are complaining.
I mean, I haven't seen the whole clip. Either way, I'm not a fan of H1. Again, this is what difference between MAGA. They go hard on illegal immigration. Can't complain. Good for you. Keep going. That's where I support ICE. But when it goes to legal immigration, MAGA falls apart. You know, there'll be internal fighting. No, it's good. No, it's bad. No, it's good. It doesn't work. I'm not a fan of legal immigration. And if you let people come to America, which I am okay on, sometimes there should not be a path for citizenship. Meaning, okay, again, I'm not saying I'm a fan of this, but we'll let Indians come here and they're on a visa for 5 years, maybe even 10 years, but there's no path for citizenship. They could have kids here. Okay, the kids are Indians. And it's kind of like the same way it used to be in Europe. It was called the Gastarbeiter. They come, they work, and then they go back home. That's how it is. There is zero path of citizenship. It could be easier, but anyway, I'm not a big fan of that. Since we're on the topic of the Iran war and who's who, let's listen to what Charlie Kirk said about the Iran war. This is pretty interesting.
Not rise up in major numbers because we want war. To be very honest with you, something that I'm against. I don't think we should bomb Iranian nuclear facilities. I just don't. I think it would be a huge mistake. It's an act of war against a major country. You go to war with Persia, it will bring your country down. The American people did not rise up in major numbers because we want war with Iran. That was never part of the deal. Okay? It was never like, hey, America first, comma, we're going to go do a bunch of, targeted strikes on the inland of Iran. So that's just where I would say that would be a catastrophic mistake. Why we believe this. We have so many pressing problems at home, and our leaders are internationally obsessed, and they are domestically ignorant.
I'll tell you, MAGA has turned into a retarded cult. The same thing, like we're MAGA and we support military veterans. The amount of negativity that I've gotten just to say, hey, I'm a military veteran, I need help, can you just repost this about government corruption? It's been absolutely negative. So they don't really have they don't really stand for support military veterans. We know that. The government doesn't care about military veterans. Military veterans don't care about military veterans. Let's just be honest. Even American citizens don't care about military veterans. It's okay. We never really served you. We served the military industrial complex. Let's just be honest. So now MAGA, the war in Iran. These people are, yeah, it's a good thing. Are you kidding me? That had nothing to do with America first, nothing to do. I don't care what Donald Trump said 20, 30 years ago. He didn't say that during the campaign trail. So then you get a guy like Charlie Kirk, which I'm okay. I'm not a fan of Charlie Kirk, but there's a lot of stuff I would agree on. But anyway, people are like, yeah, this is a righteous war. Good. I hope the military draft comes. I really do. I hope ground invasion comes and we get a military draft. Because guess what? Because there's another thing that America is not. America is not a Christian country anymore. Do you really think so?
Gears with a message to the Vatican tonight. I do want to shift gears with a message to the Vatican tonight, specifically to Pope Leo, who has openly condemned America's war in Iran while seemingly enjoying a public fight with President Trump. First, let me give some context. Like millions of Americans, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I even attended a seminary in high school, studied theology, Latin, went to Mass daily. But as of today, I no longer consider myself a Catholic.
What does that exactly mean? You're not a Catholic. And again, I support Christianity, but I'm not an expert on Christianity. Maybe I'm not a true Christian. I think as long as you believe in Jesus Christ, sounds good to me. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. But the point being is okay, he's not a Catholic anymore. So are you changing? Well, what are you then? See my point? Is America a Christian country? Not really. And if it is, who, what, where? I don't see it. I don't see it at all. But it looks like Sean Hannity is not a Catholic anymore. So does that mean he's Lutheran? I don't know. What is he trying to say? Protestant?
The pointed words for Iran, this evil regime, the #1 state sponsor of terror.
Yeah. Okay. I ran. Good. I hope he gets drafted. I hope his kids get drafted and go for it. But since we're on the topic of God, I've always said this too. So I've also, in fact, truth be told, I understand Taoism, the Chinese philosophy of Taoism, more than I probably understand Christianity or Judaism. Meaning, if you really looked at the book, I've just been studying Taoism for a long time. But what I do believe is, I do believe there's knowledge in all religions. And I've said many times, the West is not Islam. The West is Christianity. You don't think there's something to be learned from Islam? I don't know, maybe the way they treat their women. I'll take Islam over feminism any day. But I do think there's wisdom in all this. So if you want to get educated, go outside the box and learn other things. But I think it's good to learn other religions, to learn more about it. We'll see what he has to say.
Is there nothing there?
Where are you going if America falls?
I don't think we survive, brother.
What?
I don't think we make it out of this. There's no mentioning of this place anywhere in the scriptures, bro. Yet how many signs the Prophet Muhammad gave that came true? He said, soon the shepherds of our people, the Arabs, they're in the middle of the desert, nothing there, will compete with one another to make buildings that touch the sky. And when one builds one, the other will say, I'll make one even bigger. We're all the greatest skyscrapers in the world. These are his words, Danny Jones. You tell me how an illiterate Arab in pre-ancient Arabia, illiterate, could have known that specifically.
Huh. Wait, what's the answer? Is it Dubai or New York?
Dubai, bro.
It's Dubai.
And Mecca, Saudi Arabia, they're building massive towers. They're going back and forth. Qatar, Dubai. Danny Jones, there's a lot of prophecies. One of them was, the time will come where people will place instruments, musical instruments on their ears, and they will dance into the night. How did he know? He described headphones, bro, towards the end of time.
That's pretty wild, if that's true.
All of the minor signs, and I invite the audience, study the end of time signs in the religion of Islam.
I think there's a lot to be learned from all religion. Again, I've learned a lot from Taoism. But anyway, it's better than jerking off to OnlyFans, right? Learn some Buddhism, learn some that, or continue on with Christianity, learn that. But the point is, there's a lot of people wasting their time learning bullshit. I think there's a lot of wisdom that could be learned from all these religions. Though I still believe that an atheist, I'm not an atheist, I've never been an atheist, but I still believe atheists deserve their place at the table to push back on us, to say, all right, you believe why? So I think atheism has a place, but I think in terms of not only leadership morality, a lot of morality comes from religion, but I'm just not an atheist. I truly believe there is a higher power. Could I be wrong in terms of Christianity and Judaism? Maybe it's Islam. I don't know. But I also think there's also about culture, that I do look at Christianity not purely as religion, but it is also Western European culture and is what it is. But anyway, since we're on the topic of beliefs and disbeliefs, let's talk about the COVID vaccine really quick.
Immune system analysis, multiple research reports. A groundbreaking new study sounding alarms about the safety of COVID mRNA vaccines, directly challenging claims from.
I mean, you got to take a moment here. How long do we have to go back? What is it, 3-4 years ago? Remember the COVID? Remember how retarded people were? The mask, got your mask on, I mean, you got to remember how retarded people were. Even people look at me like, you're not going to get the vaccine? No. Yeah, but you're going to infect other people. Like, I don't know, you got the vaccine. Aren't you protected? I mean, it's retarded. And you might say, don't worry, David, we got through it. We're fine. Well, another pandemic's going to come. Don't you agree? And what do you think is going to happen? I think about the same thing's going to happen. No one's going to learn anything. They're going to say it's the same thing. I really think sheep are sheep and leaders are leaders. I think it's a DNA thing. But what did we learn from this? Don't trust the government, right? That's one thing you could say you learned.
public health officials and raising urgent questions about transparency and trust. So using hard data from disease trends, from patient outcomes and immune system analysis, multiple research reports show that heart inflammation risks tied to the vaccines may be far greater and maybe even more dangerous than previously reported, particularly among young men. Joining us now to discuss this is Independent Medical Alliance Senior Fellow of Pediatric Cardiology, Dr. Kirk Milholm. Good morning to you, doctor. Welcome to the National News Desk. Great to have you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
This new study about the safety of COVID mRNA vaccines was published in the International Journal of Cardiovascular Research and Innovation, as I understand it. Tell us about the scope of this research and really your top findings from it.
So it's a compilation of studies that really have been out there since 2021. We saw a signal in the vaccine product causing problems, especially in the young adults, especially young males, that was causing heart inflammation. And so what we have done is compiled all those different peer-reviewed journals, articles, and data, and put them in one place, easily accessible, with 42 pages and 341 references of our concerns that this is a real issue and these vaccines do little good for healthy children and young adults.
Right. Were you able to distinguish the cause of myocarditis, the differential between a COVID infection versus it being just an adverse reaction to the COVID vaccine?
Yes, it's very clear from a number of reasons that we've been able to evaluate. And primarily, there was a great study out of the Nordic countries that studied 23 million children and young adults, and they found that the people who had the least amount of myocarditis were the unvaccinated. And as you increase the number of vaccine doses, or you use Moderna versus Pfizer, your risk just kept stepping up in terms of your risk for myocarditis. Once again, in a disease state that is really.
How crazy that is for a lot of these mom and dad, these yuppie parents who told their kids, you got to get the vaccine, you got to get the vaccine. Maybe they screwed up their kids for life. Take it from people. I find that people who never worked for the government believe the government more. I find this a lot of guys who worked for the government, like me, have maybe because we've seen inside the government and we think we see both incompetence and corruption. Maybe that, where I think other people are like, no, the government, that's the best and the brightest. They know what they're doing. I mean, I didn't even consider getting the COVID vaccine. I have very little faith in our government.
Very mild for healthy children and young adults.
You know, initially, this topic was so.
I know I'm changing this. It's the same thing with these dumb MAGA people. They're like, Trump has got a plan, man, for Iran. He's cutting off the oil for China, man. And then we're going to go to Indonesia and we're going to do. He's 4 deep chess, man. He's got a plan. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Don't think so? Then let's go. And if he does have a plan, then why didn't he campaign on this? It's a big deal. Going to war with Iran is a big deal, people. Ground invasion, nuclear. Wouldn't this be on his campaign trail? I know I've seen clips of him 30, 40 years ago, and I get it, but things change 30, 40 years ago, right? You might have said, I think we should go to war with them, and change your mind. Same thing, people are going to change their mind on China. So anyway, if this was so pertinent, wouldn't that have been good for him to say, and when I'm president, I am going to bomb the shit out of Iran? Why didn't he say it? Maybe because he's like, people aren't going to vote for me. So same thing with COVID, Trump, the government. People are like, oh, man, I know they have a plan. This is going to work out right. No, they don't. I'm telling you, no, they don't. It's not going to work out good. You're going to see it's going to go to shit.
Rare when we first heard about this myocarditis and the links, to the vaccine. But what does the data reveal now?
So there was a study out of Lancet that showed and looked at all these children who had been harmed by the vaccine and received and had myocarditis secondary to the vaccine. And they looked at them 90 days out. And a lot of things remained normal, except their cardiac MRI, which showed and continued inflammation and possible scarring of the heart itself 90 days out. Further studies, a new study released by Yale said that they're still seeing free-floating spike protein, which is what that vaccine asks the body to make, which is a cardiotoxin still floating around in the body for over 700 days.
Wow.
It was supposed to just be put in and your body had an immune response and then it went away, but it is hanging around in some people.
So it's not transitory. It's not resolving over time. I mean, there's like long-term impacts we're seeing right now.
Yeah, for certain people, it is devastating and long-term issues for a disease process that they had very little risk for.
Wow. So for more information, you can visit IMA.
Wow, what did we learn? You know what we learned? We learned that this is where I talk about DNA, that humans, because we're herd animals, when an elite group of people, just an elite group of people, when they bond together, and especially when they have superior DNA, they can control the herds. They can control the herds. Millions upon even billions of people. Same thing with guns. Like in America, if you took 1,000 just hardcore special operations guys, hardcore intelligence, whatever, put them together, 1,000 of them, they could possibly take over the country in an unconventional manner. Meaning it's just hard to get very elite, high DNA people working together to do that. But that's what our elites are. Don't think so? This is an interesting story.
Where it gets interesting. Between all the... Have you ever heard of a game called Werewolf?
No.
Everyone gets a piece of paper. It's either got villager written on it, but two have the word werewolf. Someone runs the game to make sure no one's cheating, and they go, okay, it's nighttime, everyone close your eyes. The two werewolves open their eyes and they see the other one. Werewolves choose someone to kill, and the werewolves go. They say, okay, everyone close your eyes, it's morning time, open them again. During the night, Francis was killed. Then a conversation, and this is where it gets interesting, between all the villagers and the two werewolves over who the werewolves are. Then at the end of the day, the villagers have to decide who they're going to kill. And they say, well, we're going to kill Constantine. And it's revealed by the person running the game, I'm afraid Constantine was a villager. And the game continues. Okay? The villagers win the game if they kill both werewolves. The werewolves win the game if they kill all but two villagers. And the werewolves usually win. The game was invented by a student of sociology in Russia who wanted to prove his thesis that an uninformed majority will always lose a battle of information against an informed minority. So that just shows when you have hidden information, you can completely manipulate a large group of people.
Since we're on the subject of that, let's talk about the FBI and these scientists. I'll add some flavor to this. This is a retarded story beyond belief.
To start probing the case. The mystery deepens, and a story News Nation has been out in front of since the beginning. Nearly a dozen scientists and government officials, take a look, have disappeared or died under strange circumstances, all within the last 4 years. Many reportedly held high-level security clearances and had access to sensitive information. Now the House Oversight Committee is going to start probing the cases, seeking information from the Pentagon, the FBI, the Department of Energy, and NASA. President Trump even addressing the ongoing mystery, saying the White House is looking into it and vowing to get answers within days. National correspondent Nancy Liu is live from the Angeles National Forest. So, Nancy, what do we know about this House committee probe?
Well, Nicole, those letters from the Oversight Committee named Monica Jacinto Rezo and former Air Force General William Neal McCaslin specifically. The two worked together on a highly sensitive research program regarding space vehicles and defense weapons. Today, we are in the hiking area of the Angeles National Forest where Reza mysteriously went missing last summer. The 60-year-old experienced hiker was with two friends that Sunday here on the Mount Waterman Trail. According to one friend, Reza was about 30 feet back, smiling and waving at one point, and when they turned around again, she was gone. And despite multiple extensive searches by hikers and authorities, there's been no trace of her. Reza created and patented a nickel-based alloy called Mondaloy, which has helped the U.S. eliminate reliance on foreign sources for propulsion technology. News Nation among the first to report that Reza worked closely with Air Force General William Neal McCaslin, who also mysteriously disappeared in New Mexico 2 months ago. Authorities believe he went on a hike behind his home, but his wife said it was unlike him not to tell her where he was going or to leave without his phone and keys. McCaslin had managed classified information on UFOs and UAPs. Now, the letters from the Oversight Committee say recent reports raise questions about a possible sinister connection between the deaths and disappearances of not only McCaslin and Reza, but nearly a dozen scientists who've either died or vanished over the past few years. Most have links to sensitive military, nuclear, and aerospace research. Now, in the case of Monica Reza, trails in this area where she vanished, they are deep in the Angeles National Forest, but they are well marked. Though even very experienced hikers tell us much of the Pacific Crest is known for being challenging and treacherous. Reza's missing flyers are now posted at various points.
Yesterday called our attention because we saw the sign help us to find Monica, because we're hikers, it touches even more, knowing the risks, but unfortunately it happens, and sometimes it happens that people were never found.
The Oversight Committee notes in their letter to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth just a week ago that they had asked the department about the growing mystery, but the department responded by noting no active national security investigations of.
This is strange. I'm going to comment on this when this is over. There's like a minute, but this is very strange.
Any current or former staffers with DOW clearance. The Oversight Committee is now asking for a briefing on the disappearances and deaths no later than April 27th. Nicole?
All right.
Okay, let me tell you about the FBI. Something strange on that. The FBI is charged from a counterintelligence standpoint to have oversight, security oversight on our national laboratories. So if you're a civilian scientist, you've been cleared as a top secret clearance, and you're working on some governmental program, the FBI has oversight, and they'll work with whether you're working on the Department of Defense, Department of Energy. It'll be the FBI having oversight from a counterintelligence standpoint for obvious reasons. You're dealing with sensitive information, and you may be targeted by foreign agencies or foreign adversaries. So let's just make that known. The responsibility lies in the FBI. Now, if anyone's been listening to me through the years, you've known I've termed the FBI both corrupt and incompetent. When I worked for Boeing, I don't want to do a tangent, but I was illegally fired from Boeing. Boeing's corrupt. They weren't incompetent, though. This is the private sector. And the reason I'm saying this is never, when you're trying to figure out the FBI and you're like, they're corrupt, sometimes they could be incompetent, which is both. So here's the problem with this story. The first is there a coincidence? I don't know yet. I'm just seeing it, but it's obviously making the news. So it seems like there's a coincidence. And what is that? We have multiple American scientists who, again, I don't know the details, but I'm assuming they're all working on top secret programs, and they're all generally at the same time missing and killed and dying. And so scientists, top secret classified information, all around the same timeline, missing, killed. That's at least enough to say what's going on. Donald Trump has put the FBI doing an investigation. Why wasn't, as you could see, why wasn't there already an ongoing investigation before? Don't rule out just pure incompetency by the FBI. Here's the problem that it's not making sense. And again, let this investigation go. But just like the COVID vaccine, I don't have faith in the government. Well, that's how I am with the FBI. So let's say this. We're going to say they were killed, meaning they did not die of natural causes. Because who knows? Maybe it is a coincidence. Maybe. But if it's not, then they didn't die of natural causes. They were killed in some way, shape, or form. Intentionally killed. So, and if we're trying to loop them all together, were they killed or taken out from a foreign hostile agency? Number one. Two, were they taken out domestically? Probably the United States government. Would it be the mafia or some criminal gangs? I don't know. They're probably all upstanding people, so they're probably not involved in any criminal activities. So they were taken out domestically, which would be by our government. Or there's conspiracy theories, I don't know, the aliens, these people into UFOs. Hey, my issue with the UFOs is, I'm not going to confirm or deny that, but there are conspiracy theories. Maybe it's the UFO. We're not going to talk about that. It's kind of weird, but maybe it is. You keep all these variables open. So let's focus on the big two. Did the United States government take them out, or did a foreign adversary take them out? If either one did, then what happened? Again, maybe it just happened to be the coincidence they died of natural causes or whatever. But if it's not, and they were intentionally all taken out, the question is who? Was it from multiple sources? I probably would say no. I'd probably say one. So let's keep it very simple. It's either the United States government takes them out or a hostile force. Hostile force, their main thing would be recruitment, not to take them out. They would try to recruit them, have them sell that information, maybe even persuade them to leave America and immigrate to their country where they will take them out. But either way, their goal is not to kill the person. Same thing when we target foreign scientists. Our number one goal is not to kill them. Just give us the information. Or move to America. We're going to extradite you and come to America. That's the number one thing. They're not normally going to kill. So that puts it a little lower from a foreign source. Two, if a foreign source really is going to take you out, they're not going to eliminate you when you're already retired. Again, I don't know all these people, but it sounds like some of them were older age, their retirement. That's the time to perfectly recruit them. Even though you have to ask how plausible is their intelligence as the years go on. But, they're not working for the government. There's a looser leash. And that would be the time where their clearance might end, where the FBI is no longer overseeing them, where there's a longer leash, and boom, recruit them and do that. But if you wanted to eliminate someone and you're a foreign government, a foreign adversary, you probably want to eliminate the scientists that are in their prime, that are working on the most cutting edge, which it might be. Again, I don't know all these people. I'm just doing a very blanket thing. But if they're at the older age, why you're killing them? Unless you're the domestic government, we're talking about America, and now you're worried, which happens because once they're working in the system, well, you don't want to kill them because they got to do their work. But now they're retired, you don't need them anymore, the American government. And loose lips sink ships. Take them out. Now, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but the whole thing is, why wasn't there an investigation in the beginning? And it also shows that the FBI is failing in their job because the FBI is tasked with that, not just from counterintelligence, but to protect our assets, which would include these scientists. So somebody fucked up. And I hope that doesn't surprise anyone that our government is doing that behavior. Someone dropped the ball. It's in the FBI. Why even President Trump is ordering an FBI investigation. This should have been done already internally. Not like I have much faith in Kash Patel. He's too busy eating curry and he's dating his Mossad girlfriend who's talking with Israel now and then. So the whole thing doesn't make sense, but I don't have faith in our government. But I would say, generally speaking, this program is run, authorized, and overseen by the FBI. So if something bad happened, it's on the FBI. Why Donald Trump has to tell the FBI to do this investigation, it should have been automatic. So unless this is a coincidence, which it may be, I haven't looked at the facts, unless it's not a coincidence and these people were targeted as a group and they were killed, illegally killed, who would have done it? Foreign, domestic, or aliens? We're going to keep the aliens, not for now, maybe. People say that. Let's just say domestic. That's called the United States government. I don't think these people were in prostitutions or drugs or got involved in the mafia. Don't think so. So it's probably the United States government, if it's domestic. If it's foreign, it could be a variety of things. It could be China or Russia. The problem is the modus operandus of a foreign intelligence agencies. Your number one thing is not to kill them, number one. Your idea is to recruit them. That's what you want to do. And two, if you kill them, you don't really kill people in their older age that are retired. They're not. It doesn't make any sense. But from a domestic standpoint, if you wanted to kill people, you definitely want to kill them during their retirement, because you don't want to do it during their prime. You need them. Once they're retired, you don't need them anymore, and you don't want them to talk. So have fun with that conspiracy theory. But if you think it's kind of weird, just by the fact that this thing's going on shows that the FBI is either incompetent or corrupt. And guess what I've been saying? When I left the FBI in 2007, I wrote Senator Chuck Grassley, and I just wanted to be left alone. I don't even want to do these videos. These videos are so fucking embarrassing for me in so many ways that it just shows how fucked up the FBI is. Again, no problem going behind my back. So anyway, that's my quick take on that. We'll see where it goes. We're going to do 2 more videos, and everyone's interested in the Iranian war. Really? While you're thinking about it, how's the economy doing?
Lawmakers move no closer to ending the DHS. U.S. consumer sentiment is taking a dive as the war in Iran stokes fears of inflation. Now, a month into the war, gasoline prices have skyrocketed, and markets are threatening to crack as supply chain disruptions grow. And new concerns today as lawmakers move no closer to ending the DHS shutdown, now in its 44th day, becoming the longest partial government shutdown in U.S. history.
This president has said again, I have the power to pay TSA agents, and I'm going to do that. Why didn't he do this weeks ago when we started seeing the suffering of folks at the airports? We've had a unanimous agreement to do what Democrats were saying from the beginning, pay TSA and not let ICE have another dollar when they're reckless and out of control in our neighborhoods around the country. We came to that deal. The Republicans capitulated. We unanimously passed that out of the Senate, and the Republicans rejected it.
Joining me is Justin Wolfer, is professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. Good to see you again, Justin. So new numbers from the University of Michigan show that U.S. consumer sentiment fell more than expected in March, hitting a 3-month low. What are these numbers telling us about the economy's outlook?
Well, first of all, Alex, the most important University of Michigan number is how we're doing in March Madness, which is fantastic right now. But let's move on to economics. I think that putting it in the frame of the last few months is interesting, but actually what's even more interesting is that's a survey that's been going for over 60, 70 years. And right now we're at one of the lowest points through that entire post-war history of the United States. So the bigger headline is we are awfully close to being as miserable American consumers as they've been at any point in recorded American history.
So in this last month,
I'm not big on voting. I don't vote anymore. But if the MAGA gets clobbered in the midterms, I'm going to laugh. Even though, yeah, you might say, David, but that's the ping pong. I get it. I know. That's why it is what it is. Well, then start a fucking revolution and do some guns and make change. But these are some dumb fucking MAGA people with Trump. Let's focus on the Iran war when our economy goes to hell. We'll see where this goes. But if he takes a shellacking at the midterms, I don't know, maybe karma.
The U.S. national average per gallon of gas jumped $1, and U.S. crude oil closed at almost $100 a barrel. That was happened on Friday. Analysts warn the Strait of Hormuz has got to reopen by mid-April, or oil supply disruptions will get significantly worse, Justin. So if the strait stays closed, is there anything that will keep energy prices from skyrocketing?
Wow. A funny story for you on exactly this question. 2 or 3 days after the president invaded Iran, it was said that Susie Wiles, his chief of staff, suddenly was running around the White House saying, oh, my goodness, gas prices are going up. Is there anything we can do about it? And the approximate answer is no, or at least not in a very in a particularly quick way. There's long run things like renewable energy and like, but the president tried a couple of gimmicks, pulling oil stuff out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, allowing Americans to buy oil from Russia and in fact from Iran. But most of those are just really small, which is much of the world's oil, roughly a fifth of it, is behind the other side of the Strait of Hormuz, and it's really hard to get stuff through. And so you've got less oil for a world that's just as hungry for it. The only way that you can make all of that work is for the oil price to go up to a point where some people will do without.
Well, amid this partial shutdown, you've got airlines that are taking a hit. You've got the fatal crash at LaGuardia last Sunday. You've got
All right, we get it. The economy's going to shit. Let's see where this is going. The Iran war is not going expected, Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump, again, a lot of people think he planned for this. This is all part of the plan. We'll see. I think he's going to lose. And I think he's going to have to double down to a ground invasion, which he's going to lose. And then hopefully it'll be a military draft and not nuclear weapons. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding with this. I absolutely think Donald Trump may say, let's just nuke them. Because the military draft, I think he's got enough common sense. And I hope the military, it'll be the funniest thing. All these MAGA people, once the military draft comes, people are like, whoa, what? What? No, man. I just wave the American flag. That's all I do. I just wave the American flag and I thank military veterans for their service all day. That's what I do. But I'm not going to die for this country. But I think he's going to realize that military draft is not a good idea. And he's going to say, fuck them. We did it in Japan. Let's do it again. And I think Israel will say, absolutely, nuke them. Anyway, we're going to do one final clip. I don't know if we're going to go the whole clip. This is Tucker Carlson. And we'll see what he says. Tucker Carlson I find more interesting. But again, I haven't listened to everything. We'll just listen to a little what he says.
Very small ways, but in real ways, you and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not a...
Again, now, I don't change my opinion. I still believe Donald Trump is the best president in my life. If you disagree, who? Gavin Newsom? And I'm not a fan of Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance at all. Not at all. George Bush? Bill Clinton? Literally, who? So I still stand by it. I still think Donald Trump's the best president of my entire lifetime. I've always said he's not going to solve this, but if I'm like, do you regret supporting him? I don't know if I support. Well, I guess I could say I support him vocally. I can't think of another, but voting is not going to solve the problem. George Washington used guns and ammo to solve the problem, and I think that's going to happen. But I don't change my view. I still think Donald Trump is the best president of my life. If you disagree with me, then who? Kamala Harris? Joe Biden? No. But Donald Trump is he's going down the toilet. I mean, his policies are really going down the toilet.
Enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people, and it was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway, the question does present itself immediately, like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like, clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes.
But
if anyone doesn't understand basic logic, don't you think Donald Trump probably should have, on the campaign trail, say we should go to war with Iran, right? To say, when I'm president, which I agree with Donald Trump, we are not going to send billions of dollars like Obama did to Iran and a sense of extortion, a sense of blackmail. 100% agree with him. I agree with him. We should stop paying for NATO. And then he's like, not only are we going to stop paying money for him, I agree with him, but we're going to go to war with him and bomb the shit out of him. What did you just say? Yeah. If I become president, we're going to war with Iran. How do you think that would have done? Why didn't he say that? Probably because he said it's not a good idea. That wasn't. If you think Donald Trump, what he campaigned on, and now we're in war with Iran, meshes with each other, you and I saw different people, different speeches. But like I said, I don't pay taxes, and I'm definitely not going to be drafted for this war. So have fun with it. Go for it. I think it's a great idea. I fully support ground invasion.
there are tons of people of low character who like outperform their character. It doesn't have to be
sort of the norm, actually, these days. I would say
I've outperformed my character a lot. I don't have especially high character, right? But you try to whatever, you try your best. But what was this? Was this always the plan?
Looking back after the last year and a half, it seems like it kind of was. And it's easy. Well, you could get really deep about it and say, what was Butler? Like, how was it that and Ryan Ruth? I mean, he was subject to 2 legitimate assassination attempts. Have we ever gotten to the bottom? I know you've talked a lot about this, but have we ever gotten to the bottom of that?
I haven't talked a lot about it. I don't know the answer, but I know that those investigations have been stymied. Fact.
Yeah, stymied from the very top. From people.
Right.
Well, the one thing you have is you have somebody named, unless you just don't believe what I'm saying. But if you believe one thing, that yes, this guy David Baumblatt graduated West Point and he's a former FBI agent. Again, I don't know if you believe that. Let's say you do. Then you also believe, which is true, I have allegations of FBI corruption. We all have allegations. Well, some do, some don't. I have allegations. The FBI has not responded to me. Maybe they have, and I'm not telling you. I'm trying to tell you as the viewer how much where you could say this is absolutely true. So West Point and FBI, I don't know. You either believe me or not. I've been on social media enough. FBI corruption report. You definitely believe that because I've said it. I've got FBI corruption report. Doesn't matter whether it's true or not. It does matter, but an allegation is an allegation. It's like a woman making allegation for rape. She deserves an investigation. So is it possible that the FBI did communicate with me, did do the investigation, but found out there's no claims to it, but I'm not telling you about that? Or do you probably believe they're not communicating with me? Same thing with the congressman, they're not. So from one data point, you could say, this David Baumblatt story is revealing that we have a problem with the FBI. That's not how it is. Why are they totally hiding, ignoring, and running from them? And all the politicians don't want it. There's something. So the point is once one crack shows the system, what does that mean for all this other stuff about the other assassinations? Was it real? Was it not? Who knows now? But I can tell you from mine, what do you think I'm doing here? You think I'm making money? Do you really think I'm making money here? Do you think someone's supporting me here? The American government, I'm like a reverse op. The Chinese government, the Russian government. Do you really think another government's supporting me? Look at my channels here. I mean, there's like 10 people watching these shows here. I've been censored so many times. So it's probably not for the money. So the point to do is to say, you know something, this guy David Baumblatt's story, it really does show that we have a corruption in the FBI in our government. Boom. Now we've got one data point. It's like when someone lies. Someone has lied once. Well, if he lied once, could he lie second, third, and fourth? So now anytime you hear the FBI has investigated the assassination attempts on Trump and they found no conclusive evidence of this and that, do you believe them? From my standpoint, not no, hell no. It's absolutely corrupt right now. So it's just a data point to show it. I don't even want to be here. I find this so embarrassing to be here and to think that no one, if you think I'm wrong, you put in the chat, or you got my email, send me the email address of whatever congressman or senator, their staff. Just send me their staff and I will CC you on the email and we'll do it. Even military veteran organizations are not responding to me. The same reason my first YouTube channel was immediately censored from the FBI. This is not normal. Not normal at all. And then I showed the video originally from Nick Fuentes. Remember that? And him getting absolutely censored his bank account. That's not normal, but you should know now that that was done by the FBI. What illegal activities did Nick Fuentes do? I don't know. I don't know. Being politically incorrect. Same thing with me. We are, as much as we'd like to point out to these foreign governments as being corrupt, our government is absolutely bought and sold. Our government is bought and sold. I go back to Donald Trump. If this war is so important to possibly risk World War III, don't you think he should have mentioned that on the campaign trail? When I'm president, what I will do is never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And if that means going to war with Iran, I will do it. Don't you think that probably would have been good leadership to say, okay, But he didn't do it. Why? Because I think a lot of people would say, whoa, what? War with Iran? I'm not voting for this guy. But now people drank the Kool-Aid and now they're part of the cults. And it's same thing with the FBI. I had a lot more support before Trump got elected. Why? Because people were like, hell yeah, man, the FBI's corrupt, man. I believe David Baumblatt. But now that Trump is in charge and his guy, Danny Bongino and Kash Patel are in the FBI, I guess it's magically fixed now. No more corruption. What do I think about this whole thing? Give it time, people. Give it time. The American ship is sinking. You're going to see it.
Who actually would have the power to get to the bottom of it.
And the motive.
Feeling. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Very much. So the enormous amount of money he got from Miriam Adelson now seems suspect to a lot of people at the time. But, you know, there's a lot of money in politics. To run for president requires an enormous, I mean, Cackling Camel Toe went through $2 billion in 4 months. So, sure, there's an argument to be made that you get money from those who will give it to you. It's just the nature of that game. But it's still reprehensible and it's still a big question mark. Why would someone who has obvious and demonstrated allegiance to a foreign power give Donald Trump $250 million while he's running for president? I mean, how is that defensible? It's really not. If Russia had given a PAC for Trump, you know, if the mayor of Moscow had somehow, you know, assembled an enormous amount of money and put it in a 501c3 for Trump's benefit, would that have been acceptable? Of course it wouldn't have been. So what does someone, it's so basic, comes back to the money. Like, what did they get in return for that amount of investment? And it's clear.
Yeah, like I said, and I've said this before in prior videos, I believe Trump is compromised and or bribed, quid pro quo. Compromised and or bribed. It is what it is. Is that shocking for you? Really? Our government? What did I say? Our politicians are puppets and they work for the corporations and the globalist elites. That's how it is. We are also an oligarchy in our country. But the difference between the non-Western worlds where the government has the power, in our worlds, it's the corporations. Or maybe it is other countries like Israel that funnel the money, but our country's bought and sold. It's all to the highest bidder. And I think Donald Trump, at the end of the day, he's been compromised or he's just been bribed. But I say again, this is a big deal with this war. I think a lot of dumb Americans don't realize how dangerous this could be. Don't you think this would have been an important thing to put on your campaign trail? That part of his presidency for the safety of the world, for America, is to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon, and we will go to war with them if need be? That would be pretty good information. He said that? Did he say that? I don't think he ever said that.
I get it. No, I mean, of course, I agree with every word that you're saying. I just think, given his behavior and his demonstrated disloyalty and viciousness to previous supporters,
yes,
why wouldn't he display the same lack of loyalty to Miriam Adelson? I mean, that's kind of the question. The only people he's been loyal to are the neocons and his donors.
Okay, that's today's episode. You know something, I'm trying to do leadership. Sometimes I had this feeling, I think it was like a year and a half ago or something. I said, you know something, I think I'm just going to stop making videos. And I stopped making videos for like 6 months or maybe even longer. I don't really get that much enjoyment out of this. The negativity in America has gotten so bad, and the lies, the propaganda. Like I said, I actually like people who look at me and say, David, I don't support military veterans. I don't support you. I like it. But the lies, we support military veterans, especially from MAGA, that you just see America turning more and more into a toilet bowl. And you realize that voting is not going to help. I'm just so happy I don't pay taxes. That is one good thing. But people are still that. I just think at the end of the day that, just like I said, the Chinese are not much different. I think Americans have also learned from the corporations, and I think Americans are very weak, selfish, wimpy cucks. And I just say, just let it go. I mean, the point is I could just end my channel and say, you know something, See in 3 to 5 years. I'm telling you, it's going to be like that, but the rhetoric is going to be up. The point is as we go more and more, like for Donald Trump, and the MAGA people think Donald Trump, okay, let's see where this thing goes. But I do support 100% a full ground invasion into Iran. I really hope it goes. And then even better would be the military draft. I do hope not, though, nuclear war for many reasons. It changes. And I'm telling you, if you think this is hyperbole, I would think again. But I hope that option doesn't come. But ground invasion, yeah, that's called a meat grinder. Let them fucking go. There's a lot of issues with our military that are just scumbags. Literally, if you have no clue. And then to all the MAGA people that are waving the flag like, man, Donald Trump's doing the right thing. Iran's a threat. Okay, good. Then when the military draft comes, you should be able to pick up your rifle, go to Iran and destroy whatever this threat you think it is. You have fun. I'm not doing it. But I think in the big picture, like I said, it's not getting better, people. You think I'm wrong? We'll see. But I definitely think from a MAGA perspective, a lot of people put their hopes and dreams in Donald Trump. I didn't. I always said he's not going to solve the problem. I just think it's going to come to guns and ammo. But I think when a lot of the MAGA are going to realize Donald Trump's not going to solve this. Maybe they are, though, so brainwashed that then they'll think, but J.D. Vance will solve it, or Marco Rubio. And okay, we'll see where that goes. But I'm telling you, sooner or later, and it's going to be economic, it will be the economy where the pain is going to come so hard economically, and then people are going to realize this country is really going downhill. But Donald Trump, along with the other globalist elite, oligarchies, we're talking America, they'll be eating steak and lobster, and they'll be guarded in their private fortresses with their rich kids, none of them serving the military, and we'll see where this goes. Because no matter how much I say negative about Donald Trump, you've never heard me say positive about the Democrats. None. They're not going to solve it. So either way, what's going to solve it? I don't know. What would George want? That would be, we'll end it with this. This will be the ending leadership lesson. You always ask yourself, what would George do? George Washington, probably our number one leader in America, founding father, first president, General George Washington, who won the Revolutionary War. You always ask on whatever topic it is, about economics, about racism, about dating, about politics, and about this situation, what would George do? And he would probably say, sooner or later, you're going to have to lock and load. Or leave the country like I did. I mean, I wasn't looking. I was not. When you leave the country, it really means you're not looking for a fight. This is why I really don't like doing this. I just want to be, when you literally leave the country, and I've never said anything negative about the FBI, I just wanted to leave. You're probably not looking for a fight. But that's another option, and people are doing that. You just leave. But if you're not ready to leave, or you don't want to leave, I'm telling you, remember these words. What would Big George do? And I'm telling you, sooner or later, especially, but this will be after the economy crashes. Just there has to be economic pain. People losing their job. That's the type of pain you want. And then you're going to see people flip the fuck out. You're going to see domestic terrorism. Even what happened, remember the Kimberly Clark, the fire, or Luigi Mannioni, you're going to see that. And you have no clue how fast the systems, which are already deteriorating, will absolutely go to chaos. And it will be, that's what originally happened. And then you'll say, dude, this is exactly what David said. It's exactly what's going to happen. And then some of you are going to say, I wish I left America earlier, or I'm so glad I'm prepared. I got the guns and the ammo. I'm out on the farm. I've got my food. I mean, I am ready. I really think it's going to be one of the two. Don't think so? Let's see where this thing goes. But until the meantime, to the Patriots, I thank you for your support. Until we meet again, lead to victory.